fingers
won't
crossed,
be,
baby.
yeah, because I think just.
Like the green tie. Looking sharp.
Apex green.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Like our flag, potentially, right?
That's right. That's right. Might see something different with the 150 years. It says bicentennial.
Mm.
Yeah. Say that back.
I was gonna say that 3 times.
Yes.
Might be a good time to unveil the flag if we do that.
Yes.
At that event.
Right.
I ain't thought about that before.
I think so. Yeah. They got a lot of great ideas. Good evening. I want to welcome you to our regular scheduled town council meeting for 2/22/22. Thanks for being here, and thanks for those joining us by live stream. I want to go ahead and get started with a quick invocation, so if you are willing, please join me in a word of prayer. Father God, it's good that we're able to gather as a community, as leaders with staff, to take care of the business of the town. In this, we move in unity and what's in the best interest of all communities that we represent. May our work lead to prosperity in all of our decisions, and may all community members who may be experiencing challenges and hopelessness be comforted with peace, joy, and the love that surpasses all understanding. We bless this time in Jesus' name. Amen. If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first I want to thank staff for helping us change some things around to be more efficient. So we're moving now to the consent agenda. If you didn't notice on your agenda, we go to that right now before presentations. So all consent agenda items are considered routine to be enacted by one motion with the adoption of the consent agenda and without discussion. If a council member requests discussion of an item, the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. So we do have one add-on to the consent agenda. It will be consent agenda or consent 12. And this is a motion to approve a resolution and ratify attached contract to purchase land identified as Wake County Real Estate Pen 0723426076, containing 9.80 acres with an address of 1033 Wimberley Road, Apex, for $355,000. So that's the add-on to the consent.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the add-on item.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passed unanimously. We'll move now to presentations. We don't have any tonight, so we move now to setting of the regular meeting agenda. So are there any add-ons or changes to the meeting agenda? Any recommendations? Hearing none. All right, with that, I'll accept the motion at this time.
I make a
Motion to approve the-
To approve the agenda?
All right, motion to approve. Stallings, second.
Second.
Second, I think we got Gray on the second. All right. All right. Discussion. All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passed unanimously. We're moving now to a public forum, and this is opportunity for community members to speak, provide any suggestions, recommendations, or anything they would like to share with council. And Madam Clerk, appears to be none. All right, so we'll close the public forum at this time and move now to public hearings. All right, first public hearing tonight. Public hearing, possible motion to adopt an ordinance on the question of annexation. And this is annexation number 721, presented tonight by Dan King. Ms. King.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Not it. That's not it either. I don't know what it's doing. It's not behaving. All right. So the public hearing is the Apex Main EMS Station at 0 Apex Barbecue Road, Annexation 721. It's located next door to Public Safety Station number 35. This property has been approved with a minor site plan, and in order to get their construction plans approved, they do need to get their annexation approved for their water and sewer. And that just shows you a little more around where it's located. Staff does recommend approval of this annexation.
All right, thank you. Questions? All right, hearing none. All right, I'd like to go ahead and open up public hearing for comments at this time for this item. And I think, Madam Clerk, you've indicated none at all. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close public hearing for comments, and it's back to council for discussion leading to a possible motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve?
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
Second again. Discussion, comments. All right, we'll go to the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right, passed unanimously. Move now to public hearing 2. Public hearing and possible motion to adopt ordinance on the question of annexation for annexation number 725.
Okay, this annexation is at 7700 Hume Olive Road, which is located near Apex Friendship Campus. It is at the corner of Evans Road and Hume Olive Road. It is currently a single-family home, and they are interested in annexing in order to get town utilities. There's just a little bit more area, and we do recommend approval.
Thank you. Questions? All right, hearing none. We'll open up public hearing for this item for comments. We have no signups tonight, so we'll close public hearing. It's back to council for discussion lead to a possible motion. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right, passed unanimously. Move now to public hearing 3. Public hearing and possible motion to adopt an ordinance on the question of annexation. Annexation number 724, presented by Ms. Shelley Mayo.
Public hearings 3 and 4 will be presented together. The annexation goes along with the rezoning. The annexation is, the property is located in the town's northwesternmost corner, right up here up against Chatham County and Wake County / Cary. The applicant is asking to add 1.3 acres to a PUD that you all saw last year, about 6 months ago, and previously approved. Essentially, when the PUD was approved, one of the conditions was that they would work to fix the road alignment on this portion of Green Level West. As you can see, it is extremely sharp right here. Anybody who's driven out there has definitely felt it. So we're trying to shallow up that curve, and in so doing, that means the center line of the road moves north, leaving a little gap that needs to be added into the PUD. And that's just to comply with the town's requirements and the PUD requirements. So this is, once NCD, this piece is currently in the right-of-way. Once the new road is constructed and NCDOT abandons that piece of right-of-way, it will come into the PUD, or it will be a part of the PUD, so it needs to be zoned as such. There were no changes to the density or the uses or the number of homes, so a letter of impact was not requested from Wake County Public Schools, and this was not required to go back to the EAB. There was a neighborhood meeting on November 23rd, but there were no attendees. Town staff recommends approval as proposed by the applicant, and planning board voted unanimously to recommend approval. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer them. And the applicant is also here.
Questions for Ms. Mayo?
I have one question. So isn't this line here, Green Level West, isn't this the demarcation between us and Cary, right?
It is. Actually, staff worked with our legal department and with Cary's legal department, and we agree that the way that the agreement, the annexation agreement line is worded, it means that it follows the center line of the road. So they are perfectly fine with that interpretation, and once the road is realigned and the right-of-way is adjusted, the agreement line will adjust as well.
That was exactly my question. That's great. So we can loop this road all the way up and just snag more Cary?
Right?
Cool.
That's what we'll do. We'll just rename another one Green Level West.
Yep.
That's good. Any other questions? All right, does the applicant wish to?
Hi, everyone. I'm
Hey, hello.
Jessie Hardesty, planner with McAdams. I really don't have too much to add. Shelley, thank you for your presentation. Just take a couple minutes just in summary. As she said, this request just goes back to creating a safer road realignment, straightening out that right-of-way, reducing the curve in Green Level West. And in order to do that, we just had to add the 1.3 acres to the PUD that was approved in July of last year. The realignment had been discussed at our rezoning last year, that we would do this through the master subdivision. And once we submitted the master subdivision, that's when we realized we had to add this additional 1.3 acres. But otherwise, I really don't have anything else to add. I think it's pretty straightforward. So if you have any questions, you're answering.
All right, any questions?
I just have a comment. Just like to thank the applicant and your team for work on this. This is clearly public service here. Make this road safer. I know it was, feel bad for charging for the application fee for the rezoning, honestly. So,
Of course, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Very well. Okay, with that, we'll open up public hearing for this items in its 3 and 4. And we don't have anyone signed up to speak tonight, my understanding. So therefore, we'll close it. And it's back to council for discussion. Lead to a possible motion to approve.
I move to approve the rezoning annexation of 21 CZ 30.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second again. Discussion. Hearing none. We'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, that passes unanimously. We'll move now to public hearing 5. It is public hearing and possible motion regarding various amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance, presented by Ms. Amanda Bunce.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So we have, I believe, 5 amendments, yes, for you. Many of them are brief and simple. So the first amendment was actually requested by the Planning Committee of Town Council, and the proposal is to require a neighborhood meeting be held prior to the submittal of any minor or major site plan for the use school, public, or private. So as you know, all major site plans require a neighborhood meeting, but not minor site plans. And so this request is simply to do that. Any questions on that item?
Yes. So in the planning committee, and then again at the planning board, there was a short discussion about additional uses beyond school, public, private. This might apply to a staff and I think specifically drive-through restaurants or something else that was mentioned. So I was sort of hoping to see a longer list of uses here. I certainly want to go through with this today, but has staff had any initial thoughts about additional uses? I have one other suggestion too. Regarding this amendment is maybe would it be appropriate to think about as we're working through this, like a length of time between the rezoning and the site plan, because the rezoning would necessarily have a neighborhood meeting and a site plan 6 months later.
We have not discussed the list of uses at this time. The planning board made that recommendation separate from their vote to give staff time to talk about that.
The planning board asked for uses, but to be honest, I think it needs to be uses adjacent to residential subdivisions. I think it's not about the use. I think it's about being located next to a residential subdivision. If you've got a drive-through fast food restaurant that's only next to other drive-through restaurants and gas stations, why should they have to do a neighborhood meeting? So I think it's a little more nuanced, and we do need more time to work on it.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
I would just like to add that I do appreciate this. I think this will be very beneficial to our residents, and I appreciate the fact that you all are going to consider some additional, maybe an amendment. Thank you for that.
Ms. Bunce, can you also address the part about the timing? Is there a rule that we have in our ordinances in general about, time between building and the meeting?
Yes, so a neighborhood meeting is valid for 6 months. So if an applicant holds a neighborhood meeting for both a rezoning and a site plan in the same neighborhood meeting, they submit their rezoning within that 6 months, but their site plan lags for more than 6 months, they'll have to hold a new neighborhood meeting. So there's already that 6-month maximum. I don't know if that alleviates your concern.
I understand. It's would you say that developers typically strive to have that combination neighborhood meeting where they come up with a site plan and display it at the same time? Some neighborhood meetings I've been to, there have been no site plans, it's been kind of overall. And some actually have been specific, and I've often wondered what the motivation is.
I don't know the percentage of which rezoning cases also have an accompanying site plan or subdivision plan at the same time. I would hate to even guess. It's not a majority, I can say that. They're usually separate anyway. But I haven't looked at that to run the numbers. I wouldn't want to guess.
And to clarify, my suggestion about the time, I just kind of as a result of an observation that usually when these issues come up and we hear from residents, it has to do with the rezoning, which is many years prior, sometimes a decade prior, and they had no idea that it could be anything. And then all of a sudden a minor site plan comes through and they start building whatever. They just don't know what's going on until the shovel hits the dirt. And that's what I suggested. The suggestion is if there's a certain amount of distance between the rezoning and the minor site plan, every minor site plan would then need a neighborhood meeting if it's above 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever. But I do like your suggestion of just adjacent to residential, and maybe adjacent. Think about a certain distance too, because sometimes you have adjacent could be 30-foot little parcel in between or something. Might be within 300 feet or 200 feet or something of residential. What's the notification distance at 300 feet?
300 feet, yes.
That might be a good number to to pull out and say if it's within 300 feet of a residential area, then that would require a minor site plan.
Okay.
But I still, to my colleagues, would prefer to move forward with this tonight, even if there's revisions later.
Okay. The next amendment is to the section regarding the Environmental Advisory Board. As you know, the Environmental Committee of Town Council was dissolved in December, and so we had to remove the reference to it in the UDO. So that is the only change to this section. Any questions on that amendment? Okay. For amendment number 3, this is to revise the definition of glass sales to allow for the wholesale of glass in addition to retail sales. And so that's fairly straightforward. If you have any questions on that amendment. Okay. The next amendment is to the screening requirements for dumpsters. We recently have a site plan at a Wake County landmark property, and there is a dumpster, and evidently wood composite is not an approved material on a Wake County landmark site. We need real wood, and our current ordinance does not allow the use of real wood, mostly because of the maintenance. Wood just is going to deteriorate quicker and require more maintenance. But for authenticity, it's needed at a historic site. So we are proposing that to change the wording, no wooden gates are permitted, to gates constructed of real wood are not permitted unless the dumpster is associated with a Wake County landmark or other historic structure.
I wonder what else there is in our ordinances of the list of possible conflicts between our standards and the historic site standards. I know we have stuff about gravel driveways too, right?
We amended our ordinance within the last couple years or so to deal with that as well. There's probably very little that, and nothing else that has really come up other than these 2 issues during the time that we've been, dealing with the change of use for a Wake County landmark. It's not very often we have a Wake County landmark that has development or redevelopment or is, reused in some way.
Just procedurally, I'm not saying, I'm just out of my curiosity, like, would it be possible for someone to pursue a variance for this if they had a historic site, or does it?
No, the criteria that the Board of Adjustment has to use is based in state law. There's 4 standards, and you have to show a hardship of something that's unique to you, that's not typical of other properties.
Yeah.
And so this would be typical of other historic properties. So it doesn't meet the strict test of the 4 findings that the Board of Adjustment has to make. And it's a quasi-judicial process that someone would have to go through, hire an attorney. It's, would take about 3 months at least for them to go through that process.
I'm not suggesting they do, I was just curious, and I'm also curious, is there something more, I guess the answer is no, because these are the only 2 things that have come up, but if there's something more broad we can put in the UDO about conformance with historic sites, that might not have to come back to an amendment the next time some detail is found.
Yeah, we can look at that at a later time. We just have to be careful that the standards in the UDO don't become subjective, that it's not too broad, because that becomes a problem as well.
Right.
And then finally, we discovered a type of highway buffer that was left out of this standard that deals with the minimum planting area needed for a buffer along certain roadways. And we've realized that the buffer along fully and limited controlled access highways, 540 US 164, needs to have that minimum 20-foot planting width, just like buffers along thoroughfares and collector streets. Alternatively, the planting width would only be 10 feet when there's an easement within the buffer. So planning staff is recommending approval of these amendments. The planning board unanimously recommended approval of all the amendments at their February 14th meeting, and happy to answer any other questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Questions? All right, hearing none. All right, we'll go ahead and open up public hearing for this item. No one signed up, so we'll close public hearing for comments, and it's back to council for any discussion or possible motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
All right, motion to approve, Stallings.
Second.
Second, Mahaffey. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, passed unanimously, and that's the last public hearing item. We'll move now to updates by Manager Crosby.
Good evening, council members. I hope you've had a good week so far. I can't believe it's only Tuesday. So just a few updates. First of all, we have 2 opportunities to celebrate Black History Month before the month closes out. The first is on Friday at the Holly. Friday evening, we'll be celebrating the closing of the Charlton Coal exhibit from 6 to 8 p.m. So we welcome community members to come out and celebrate with us. The second is the installation of a historical marker at for Apex Consolidated School, and that will be at Apex Elementary at 2 p.m. So again, we welcome community members to come out and celebrate with us for that. Just a reminder that we are recognizing women-owned businesses for Women's History Month, start beginning next month. So we really want you to sign up so that we can recognize your business and support your business all year long, but especially during the month of March. We're also looking for nominations for Think Apex. So any of our community members that want to acknowledge an individual or a youth who have made significant contributions to Apex, please make sure that you are submitting those recognitions. Really excited about our resident newsletter that's going to kick off in April. And so we're looking for topics from residents on things that they want to learn about. You can find more information about that on our website or on our social media page. That will be a monthly newsletter. And so I've been talking about this for a little while, so I'm really excited that we're getting started on that. And last but not least, we have hired our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Director, Linda Jones. She started on Monday, and we will have her here at our next meeting to introduce herself. And so far, I think we've probably done a good job of keeping Linda busy for her first 2 days. And so I think she's off to a good start. Any questions for me?
Just a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more comment. I do want to acknowledge Tessa, our town clerk, who will be leaving us on Thursday. And I just want to say thank you to Tessa for her contributions to the town of Apex and for all of her help in the 7 months that I've been here. She's been very helpful, and just want to wish her the best on her transition. So any questions for me?
Just a comment. I had a chance to meet Miss Jones Monday, and she is amazing, and I'm so excited about her being on our staff.
What's the deadline for the Think Apex submissions?
I believe it's February 28th.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. 6:24. That's what I'm talking about. All right, any other